Hi everybody. I'm very happy that we are going to meet once again for the online session, and I am here with your 10th standard book, and we are going to begin with the chapter 2 library classes. Hope you remember me and Java and what we have learned for the past 1 year. Now what we have learned in the 9th standard, we will just keep it there for refreshing later. Now we begin with the 10th standard textbook, and we are going to start with the library classes. And to begin with, we all know Java is an object-oriented programming language, and in Java it is all made up of classes. So here comes the portion called library classes. What is library? Hope everybody in your life at least once you have gone into a library. Have you ever thought why in library the books are arranged according to the department wise or language wise, or maybe depending upon what requirement it is? Why? It is only for easy access. The same thing happens with us in our software also. In our software also we do something related to our real life application. Now, before we go into these library classes, let me speak about something like when we are installing Java, we make use of something called JDK, that is Java Development Kit. And when you are installing Java Development Kit, and if you have happened to install it yourself, you would have come across so many folders there. Clear? Now this Java Development Kit also comprises of something called Java Collection of Libraries, JCL. Now what does this JCL contain? JCL contains so many classes. Then what are classes? Right? So now whenever we say it's an object-oriented programming language, it is made up of classes, and whenever a programmer is making use of a Java language to do his coding, he makes use of classes. So all that portion we have already covered in the basic chapters of our Java. But then, for us to make use of these classes, the developers, they themselves have created n number of classes during their development. Why? Because whenever we are writing a program using Java, it is not easy for the programmer to create classes of his own. So to make it more easy, what they have done is they have already created many classes. And what we do is we just make use of these classes and when we are writing our program. And where are these classes stored? We said Java developers, they have already created so many classes and we are just making use of these classes. Those classes which has been already built in, we call them as library classes. And these library classes are present in something called as Java Collection of Libraries. And here, where is it stored? Now, this JCL contains so many classes, n number of classes. We cannot say how many, I cannot say 1, 2, it contains n number of classes. Clear? Like in a library, we have separate wings. Like we have a literature wing, we have a novel. So we have so many wings inside a library. And when you go into literature, you go for the books which is required for literature. You just pick up like that. So similar to that, in JCL also, they have created, not like these racks which we find in libraries, we have something called as packages. Okay, then what are packages? Packages are nothing but a collection of classes. Classes which may be related to each other for one particular purpose. All these classes, they will be under something called a package. So we say JCL is nothing but a collection of packages. As I said, we have so many packages available in Java, but for our requirement or for our level as beginners, we are just learning about just 7 types of packages. And all these 7 types of packages, their names and their purpose, very well clearly explained in your textbook. Now, if you could refer this book, you can see this page. That is a blue box which contains your package names. And mark this box is important because this portion comes for your section A questions in your board exams. So here they have given names of around 7 packages. So what each package does, just one line of what is their usage, we will have to know. Okay? Now let us see what these 7 packages are doing for us. First, we have a package called java.lang, L-A-N-G. And you all remember, Java is case sensitive. So whether you write in small letter or capital letter, it all matters. So the first package is java.lang. In java.lang, you have so many classes mainly relating to strings. Clear? And the next package is java.io. IO stands for input output. So you have in your coding anything related to your input output, then you will be input output devices of those course, then you will be making use of the package called java.io. Then we have java.applets. Java.applets, we have already learned there are 2 types of programming in Java. One is application and the other one is standalone application and web-based applications. So when you're writing a web-based application program, then they will be making use of java.applets. So whenever you're writing a code using, that is you want to make something related to web-based, then we'll be making use of this package called java.applets. Then you have java.math. Java.math, you know, as the word suggests, it has got so many functions which is relating to your mathematical functions. Then you have java.net. So net stands in short for networking. So whenever you are writing a code which has to be used within a network, maybe there is a main server and there are some people who are connected, some machines connected to the server. In such a situation, if you want to write a coding, in that case we make use of this package called java.net. Then you have AWT, AWT, Abstract Window Toolkit. AWT stands for Abstract Window Toolkit. In Abstract Window Toolkit, you will be making use of some classes which helps you for designing your web page. Like, for example, if you have come across a web page, in your web page you will have so many boxes. Like, suppose there is something here like this name and there is a box there. This you call it as a label and this you call it as a text box. Then for example you have something called gender. There may be a round like this which says it is male and another round like this which you call it as a female. So this we call them as radio buttons. So there are so many tools which you use to create your web page, and for all these tools you make use of this package called AWT. So we have one more main package, java.util. As far as your syllabus is concerned, we are mainly dealing with this package called java.util. Util in short is for different utilities that is available in your Java software as such. Now here in util, here you are mainly talking about a class called a scanner class. We have already used in our programs something called scanner. This class mainly helps you for taking tokens from the input device. There are many functions related to the scanner class which we will be dealing in detail in the later classes. Now, so for you to learn, you must know the names of all these 7 packages and why they are used. Just a word of usage, just a line of usage you must know. This is very important portion. They may ask you what are the different name to packages, okay, or name, they will give you the usage and they will ask you which package do you use in this particular context. So this portion is very important as a part of your section A lesson. Now, you have understood what is a package. Package is nothing but a collection of classes. Now, the next thing is, I repeated many times, you can use these classes in your coding. Then how do you make use of them in your coding? So, Java provides us with certain keywords. I hope all of you remember what are keywords. Keywords are nothing but words with some specialized meaning which only the compiler understands. Now, how do I make use of these packages are using a keyword. Now, suppose if I want to make use of the scanner class, the scanner class is present inside the package called java.util. So, when I am writing a code, my first sentence will be the import keyword. I'll say import space java.util.asterisk then a semicolon. This is the statement which you use to import a package called java.util. Here import is a keyword which asks the compiler during your execution to make use of all the classes which are available under this package called java.util. This asterisk is another factor which indicates that your program, when you are importing a package called java.util, can make use of all the classes that are available. So asterisk refers to all the classes that are present inside this package. And also this usage can also be for a particular class. For example, I don't want to make use of all the classes coming under util. I just want to make use of only the scanner class. Then my statement will be like this: import java.util.scanner and then semicolon. So here what the compiler does is, compiler makes use of only the scanner class in your particular coding. It doesn't make use of other classes what is available inside your util package. So this is how you are going to import packages into your program. And this is your statement. And a statement always ends with a semicolon, and I have marked a semicolon here, and it is case sensitive. So if you give a capital I, or if you give a capital J or a capital U, then it all makes a difference over there. I hope this portion is very clear for you. So we just had an outline of what are library classes and where are they stored, how do you make use of these library classes, and also the 7 packages which our syllabus is dealing with, and each of these packages what they are doing and how do we make use of these packages in our programs. I hope it's clear. So we do have certain exercises at the back of our lesson where you will be doing it, and maybe in the next class we will be discussing on the exercises. And I also want you to underline the important points which I mentioned during the class. So if you don't have your textbooks opened in front of you, when you come for the next class, make sure that you do have a textbook of class 10 with the second lesson, library classes. Okay? So now, we are going into a second topic, the different types of data types. We already learned there are 2 types of data types. One we call them as primitive data types. The second one is non-primitive data types. Now, this primitive data types, which we call them as built-in data types. This is just a refreshing only because we have already learned this in detail. Primitive data types, they are built-in data types. We also call them as built-in data types. And we have int, char, double, long, boolean, float. We have all these primitive data types, and we know they are already developed by our developers when they have developed this language. Now what are non-primitive data types? Non-primitive data types, they are not built in. we use them for our reference. So we call them as reference data types. Reference data types. Now, or you also call them as user-defined data types. So I hope with the name here we understand what is this non-primitive data type. They are user-defined. Now, what is the need for this non-primitive data types? Primitive data types, they are very few in number, and when we are writing a coding, there is a limitation that we are not able to store the data properly when we are having only the primitive data types. So because of certain needs, what they have given is, they have given us a provision to create our own data types. The user or the coder or the programmer, he himself can create so many other data types. But the only restriction is that the data types what the user creates will be with the help of this primitive data types. So we can say this non-primitive or reference or user-defined data types are created with the help of these fundamental data types or primitive data types for your coding. And one such example of a user-defined data type is nothing but a class. So we have written programs basically saying class, student, then we wrote coding. But then what is that student? When we wrote a program in our earlier classes like this, class, student, then we opened brackets and then we wrote mini coding. This is nothing but you are creating a data type of your own. So I hope if you would remember, we wrote like this: int roll number, then we wrote string name. So here what are we doing? We are creating a data type called student, our own data type, but we are making use of the primitive data types. For example, I said float marks. So all these are created with the help of the primitive data type. So you have one example is a class, the other one is called arrays. Then you have something called interfaces. So all these are the other different types of non-primitive data types. Arrays will be going in detail into this chapter. Classes we are just going through with. Interfaces are a type of non-primitive data types, but this is not mentioned for your syllabus. So for as of now we may forget this. But we'll think that the non-primitive data types examples you could give as class, arrays and interfaces, but we are dealing more in detail with classes and arrays. So now what we understood was there are two types of data types, primitive and non-primitive data types. Primitive data types are built in and it is already created by the developers. Non-primitive data types, reference data types, they are created by the programmers for our own purpose, and it is done with the help of the primitive data types. Now if you would refer to your textbook in page number 139, there is a difference between primitive and composite data type, which you will mark it as important because differentiate sort of questions will come for you from this particular portion. I hope these much points are clear for you. Now we go with something called, the next portion we go with something called the wrapper classes. So now we are going to deal with classes which comes from the JCL. So JCL is Java collection of classes. Now here we are going to learn about something called the wrapper classes. Now wrapper classes are classes which have been already defined in our package called java.lang. We have already defined these classes called wrapper classes in java.lang, and these classes are many in number, and you have been asked to make use of the functions that are being provided with these classes. So in your programming, in your coding, you will make use of the different functions that have been provided by this wrapper classes. These wrapper classes are present in the package called java.lang. Now, the question is, when I am making use of this wrapper classes, should I write import java.lang as my first statement? No. Why? Because whenever we are making use of wrapper classes or any class which is supporting your java.lang, there you need not use the import statement because this particular package is imported by default. Meaning the compiler makes use of these classes in your program even if you don't have an import statement with this. Whereas when you are making use of another 6 packages which we have learned, you have to write the import statement. So another question is, name a package which has been imported by default. So your answer will be java.lang. Or should you import a statement, write an import statement to make use of wrapper classes? Again the answer is no. So section A 1 mark question, a very sure and important question is, name a package which has been imported by default. Your answer will be java.lang and you will be writing all this in small letters. So there also it makes an important, like you have to write everything only in small letters. Clear? So let us go with the wrapper classes. Now, as I said, all these classes in your package has been defined so that you are given certain functions. They give you certain functions. Now, what are the main usage of these wrapper classes? There are mainly 2 functions. One is, as we have learned different types of data types. And we always say Java is made up of classes and objects. So how is these data types making use of these classes and objects? So these wrapper classes help us to convert our primitive data types. I hope what is primitive data type? They are nothing but our built-in data types. These primitive data types for any purpose have to be converted into objects. If these primitive data types have to be converted into objects, then we make use of wrapper classes. That is the first functionality. Then what is the second functionality? If you have stored some data in the form of strings, then converting strings into primitive data types and vice versa. You have something as primitive data type, you want to convert them back to strings. The reverse way, for these 2 functionalities, we make use of the class called wrapper classes. Now, how many wrapper classes are we going to learn? We are going to learn about the 8 wrapper classes. Now, what are the 8 wrapper classes? Now, you may please refer to your textbook. Take page number 140. Can you see a box over there? There are 8 wrapper classes. Now what do you see on your left hand side? The name of the wrapper class. And what you see on your right hand side is the primitive data type. So from this, what do you understand? All the primitive data types, when we are storing these primitive data types, some values, they have to be converted into objects. If they have to be converted into objects, we need classes for them. So all your 8 primitive data types are having concerned or connected classes. So all these classes, we together call them as wrapper classes. So now let us write. Now we will write these on the left hand side. They are the data types and the corresponding wrapper classes. First, let us talk about char. Char is a data type. So all these are in small letters. When it comes as a wrapper class, you will be writing it as a character, and please note, you will write C as capital letter. Next, you have byte. The corresponding wrapper class will be byte int. For int, the corresponding wrapper class will be integer. So if you could note, only there is a change for char and int. They turn out to be character and integer respectively. For all other data types, If it is float, you have the wrapper class is float, only difference is capital F. You have double, again the wrapper class is in double, D is capital. Then you have boolean. If you have short, there again you have short. So all these float, double, int, character. Yeah. So for all these wrapper classes, you are having the corresponding classes in capital letters. The first letter starts with a capital letter. Except for char and int, the data types remain the same as the wrapper classes. So these are the corresponding wrapper classes for the corresponding data types. So there is a box very clearly defining in your textbook, which you must know, mark it as important for you whenever you are going through this portion. You have to go through this. You must know the difference, how you write the wrapper classes from the different data types.